Hello, everybody. On this episode of the BIC podcast, we are joined by a special guest from the Battle of Texas. Live reports from the Battle of Texas. Also, as part of his retainer for giving us that sweet, sweet guitar solo in the intro song, Eric demanded there had to be an episode about the Hockeys. So this will be the Hockeys episode. So we will have that. And since we got 3 Dallas Stars fans here, it's basically going to be the Dallas Stars Hypecast and Eric. We'll also talk about a few other things related to something going on in week 6 of the NFL. That and more on this episode of the BIC podcast.
Still
That's
shredding.
why I had to pay Eric's retainer. You know, that those riffs right at the end that really hit the spot, and that's look, it was worth it. I'll tolerate it for that, for those guitar riffs. I'll tolerate it. So, Eric, this is your moment. This is going to happen. Before we do that, we got to talk about a couple of things. Let's start off first. Do it real quick, to cover our bases here. Not long before we started recording, the ALCS Game 2 completed. So right now the Texas Rangers are up 2-0. Of course, it is a best of 7 series, so you need 4 for that. However, not a bad start. Mr. West, first, welcome. And second, how are you doing?
Thank you. Doing very well. Glad to see my Rangers get the win tonight. I've already been threatened with a ban from the Sports Cards Anonymous Discord just for asking what was going on after the game.
Of course.
If anybody could update the score. So that feels a little hurtful, actually.
I sensed a lot of hostility there, yes.
A little bit, and my motto is always be polite. And so win or lose, just got to go out there and be a nice guy about it. So anyway, 2-0. Happy to come back to Dallas, and hopefully we can knock out 2 more.
There you go. Very reasonable on you. And this is why we invited Wes here, because we do appreciate that. As a man of peace, I appreciate where you're coming from on that. Eric, you should take some notes. This is how you conduct yourself in civilized society. Polite, man of peace. Write this shit down. Write it down. So we'll talk more about that in future episodes, but we wanted to at least touch on it here for a moment. So good luck to both teams down the road. I'm in a situation where, since I don't have a horse in the race, I just hope everyone fights to the death and has a good time. That's what I'm sure. Let's talk a little week 6 NFL. The Packers have the bye week, which means it was probably the best week of the season. So it worked out great. Like this, I think Jordan Love was solidly even keeled this week. It was great. And I got to just watch games with enjoyment. So any storyline though, from this week, any games that a little bit we talked about a little bit beforehand, anything in particular that caught your eye that maybe surprised you or you thought was interesting? Whoever wants to go first, by all means.
Well, I'll go ahead and go if that's okay. Basically, watching the 49ers lose to the Cleveland Browns by 2 points on a missed field goal felt delicious. Great effort, guys. Way to go. But after they put the licks on the Cowboys last week, I was quite pleased to watch that game. And then, of course, the hated Eagles losing also to a Zach Wilson-led Jets team was also quite tasty.
And their inspirational leader from the darkness shown throwing. Is the darkness beginning to heal one Aaron Rodgers? Is nature healing itself? Is he almost, is he getting ever, don't threaten me with the entertainment value. The Schadenfreude is strong. Like either way, this will work out for entertainment. It's like, don't threaten me with a good time, Aaron Rodgers. This could be hilarious.
It would be kind of interesting to see if he would. Do you think they would put him back in if Zach Wilson was playing really well? Like
yes, 100%. They would take Zach Wilson out to the back, and I won't spoil Old Yeller for you, but this would follow a very similar trajectory.
Fair. It would be kind of great if they were like, no, we're just going to wait a week. And he's just like,
it'll be pretty much up to Aaron Rodgers. They'll just look at him, and it'll be like Caesar. Go take care of him. Put him in the back.
I mean, Zach might trot off the field himself if Aaron can walk. So
as fast as he can go. He goes, I want to live. I'll leave voluntarily of my own volition. See you. Deuces. Fair enough. No, that's reasonable. Bobbles, anything you want to touch on from week 6?
I mean, those 2 games, you had the both undefeated there, and they both went down. But what's even more miraculous is they both went down to subpar teams. Like, it wasn't this clash of titans and, the undefeated fell. It was David versus Goliath, and David like knocked him down, like knocked both of them out. And so that was kind of interesting. And then for the primetime matchup, which really stunk for me,
Mm.
because I was literally 25 points away from wrapping up my fantasy week going into the night with CeeDee Lamb left to play. And I had not only Josh Allen, but I also had Gabe Davis. You would think those two guys against the Giants only needing 25 points, it's a lock. And here I am sitting needing CeeDee Lamb to put up about 9 points tonight because the mighty Giants came in there and wreaked havoc against the Bills. Now, the Bills questionably won that game because there is some debate about the end, but whatever. But they played like crap too. And I seen a report on my roster that Josh Allen has got a shoulder injury, I guess. So that'll be interesting to follow up on. But yeah, it was just weird. The crap teams were beating up on the big boys this week.
Yeah, the chaos of the NFL.
I
the
just couldn't
Patriots
believe
do.
that you would downplay the great Houston Roughnecks legend.
PJ Watson.
Taking like
PJ
I think it's
Watson?
Walker or something. I always
Walker.
forget Walker.
Yeah.
Whatever. Look, the point is Houston Roughnecks legend. Like a Houston Roughnecks legend, that should be enough. Y'all should be able to Google that and find it. The point is that, like, regardless, it was hilarious to me that it's like Neo's new savior. He'll know his name. He better tattoo it on himself somewhere because this is his new guy now going forward. And unfortunately, the Tampa Bay Bakers were not able to get something done. Unfortunately, the Lions are looking like reasonably
They're
legit,
looking
and it makes us a little sad. I was so used to the Lions just being the whipping boy, and it was so much fun making fun of them all those years. Ah, damn, you're decent. I won't go as far as to say good, but I will say decent, solidly decent. I think they're doing all right. They're playing reasonably.
Here's the interesting part with that whole storyline, because you had Matt Stafford in Detroit, and Detroit could never do anything. He goes to the Rams, they win a Super Bowl. You had Goff with the Rams, lost the Super Bowl. Now he's in Detroit and actually making the Lions look decent. So which quarterback is it, or is it they just weren't in the correct systems? Because
I actually think the Detroit Lions team that Jared Goff has is a better fit for what he was trying to do versus what was going on with the Lions. The Stafford Lions were not actually a good team. Stafford has moments, like he's a decent quarterback, but it's like you kind of knew what you had. It wasn't Stafford wasn't good. I went to a game in Ford Field and I literally mocked the Lions fans to their face while I'm sitting there going like, "Hey, that was a great throw by him. That pylon almost caught it. It was great." And it's, again, not that Stafford is a bad quarterback, certainly not, but he needed the right people around him to do what he could do. And it's the same thing with Goff. So it's a situation where both guys are better off probably where they are right now with the teams they actually are with now. And both guys are probably a lot happier.
Yeah.
They're both doing pretty well.
So I would definitely, that's definitely the direction that I would go with that. Is I think it's just the wrong place, wrong time, and now both guys are in a better respective situation for what it is they can bring to the table. So I think that's fair. Eric, anything? We pretty much decided we're not going to talk about the Patriots anymore. So you good?
My wife bought me M&Ms today.
That right there, that might be the highlight of the Patriots season. I think that's fantastic.
And,
I think good M&Ms
are my favorite, and they come in red. And,
nice.
And they come in orange.
Fantastic.
Brown.
This is scintillating content.
There
is an audio version too. I'm glad that you at least named the colors. I feel better.
I really like peanut M&Ms, and I think it's great that she got me some today.
That was a sizzling hot take by you.
Thank you. Very kind of her.
That was very nice. Very nice.
I think that's the first time you've said anything nice or about your wife.
He's changed
on the show, like not ever, but on the show anyway.
We're 5% more mature on the show.
As he keeps chewing M&Ms. For the audio listener, Eric is now chewing his peanut M&Ms, so that adds an element to it. All right, let's get Eric back into conversation. We'll talk about the hockeys. All right, before real quick off the top, this week is actually going to be the release of Series 1, which in the hockey card side of the hobby is a big deal. That's a monster release every year for that with all the young guns. Now, Connor Bedard will be in the Series 2, but for Series 1, you're going to have 50 young guns. And I wanted to quickly do a quick hashtag scholarship thing regarding that. one of the key selling points, and I want to make sure I phrase this correctly. I don't think it's Upper Deck who is the one who said it. So I want to make sure I don't, give the wrong credit to the wrong place. But when you go to Cardboard Connection and a lot of those places, you've got the regular inserts, you've got a variety of them. They do change them up from year to year. And you do have certain parallels that you always have with the Young Guns every year. A lot of exclusives, and now you've had the high gloss and stuff like that. However, this year what they've done is they've added what's called the Outburst. So there's a couple different parallels now available in these new ones. Outburst Deluxe is out of 250, Outburst Red, Outburst Gold, which I'll get to in a second, for the base cards and Young Guns. So there's a bunch of different versions now. And they've also got a clear cut as well. So there's a couple different variants that you got to bear in mind. I want to focus on the rare Outburst Gold, though. The gold is specifically the one I want to focus on because that is a 1 of 1. And that was one of the big talking points, is that you're going to have Young Guns that are a 1 of 1. Now, this is from Cardboard Connections. The rare Outburst Gold edition may be particularly intriguing for collectors as the first 1 of 1 Young Guns chase parallel in a flagship product. Au contraire, mon frere. Hashtag scholarship time. That is a lie. That is an untruth.
I have a Young Gun 101. Now, it wasn't pulled. I don't know how to explain it. Well, go ahead with.
I'm actually going to talk about a legit in the pack, no caveats, like legit 1 of 1 Young Gun. I'm a hashtag scholarship. I'm actually gonna. So, as soon as I read that, I was like, you never have one of those things, Wes, where you're like, here's something, but at the moment you're not focusing on it too much, but it's like noise in the background, and then afterwards you think about it. Wait a minute, that's wrong. Let me go back and look at that again. So I went down the YouTube rabbit hole, and I went down the Google machine, and I did a little research, and I was pretty sure I remembered something, and I was correct. So quick, go in the Wayback Machine. Let's go back a little ways. 98-99 was actually the first year that Upper Deck Flagship had 1 of 1s. So that was the first year that Upper Deck Flagship had 1 of 1s that year. They did it in the parallels and they did it in the base set. However, that's not the one we're going to be talking about because they didn't have Young Guns. So the early history of Young Guns was kind of this off and on thing. Starting from the first year, they had Young Guns, but then one year they put it in Collector's Choice. It was bouncing around a little bit here and there. It wasn't until 99-2000 that it became a consistent staple that it is today. Now it's in the subset every year, but in 99-2000 was the first year they actually did it. Now, quick caveat, 99-2000 was also the last year they did 1 of 1s until this year they brought it back. So that is why that is a 1-year window where you have Young Guns. Now let's bring on one more layer here. There were Young Guns in that product. That was the first year they brought back the subset, and it would go year by year going forward. But most of those Young Guns in there already had rookie cards. So in reality, there are only 2 Young Guns in that checklist that are legit rookies, who not only are Young Gun subset and rookies, but also have a 1 of 1 version. 2 players. 99-2000 is the year.
What year was it? Because I've pulled it, and that's the one I have, but it was a few years ago. They did it was some kind of anniversary thing or something where there was one of
those
one
are the
Young
buybacks.
Guns in the
Those are the
product.
buyback stamped ones. Yeah.
Right.
I'm not counting those because Upper Deck
Okay.
did something. I'm talking about straight up that year, pack pulled 1 of 1s. So it narrows the list quite a bit. Now, Eric, this is a fun one for you.
Okay.
99-2000. 99-2000. One of the players was the number 1 overall draft pick in the 99 entry draft.
Okay.
Otherwise, didn't have too many notable moments. So who was one of the 2 players who had a legit Young Gun 1 of 1 from 99-2000?
99-2000.
Yep. Number 1 overall draft pick of the Atlantic Thrashers in the 99 NHL entry draft. So I'm trying to help you out a little bit.
Yeah. Was it Danny Heatley?
It'd be a good guess, but nope.
Mark Savard.
Afraid not. So I won't keep. Go ahead, Russ. You want to take a stab at it?
I was going to say, is it Stepan? Is that his name?
Patrick
Stefan?
Stefan. That's right.
There you go.
Patrick
Nice
Stefan. That's right.
Yeah.
Number 1 overall draft pick. Most notable for his 1 year in Dallas where he missed an empty net, fell, and the Edmonton Oilers skated with that with seconds to go and scored a tying goal.
Yep.
It became an infamous hockey meme. That is the highlight, the apex of his career. But if you want one of the OG, legit 1 of 1 Young Guns, which exists theoretically out in the universe from 99-2000, it is our homie, Patrick Stefan. That is one. And I'll give you the other one, Oleg Saprikin.
Really?
Oleg Saprikin was a rookie in 99-2000 for the Calgary Flames, who has a young gun that is available as a 1-of-1. It's also available as an out of 100 exclusive. So those are the OG legit 1-of-1s. So I'm sorry, Cardboard Connections. There were 2 cards from 24 years ago that in fact were the first young gun 1-of-1s.
I think I
Well,
would like to
hashtag
see a
scholarship.
picture of those two.
I actually can provide something like that.
Yeah.
So let me see if I can blow it up a little bit. I'll make it a little easier to see, but I'll show it to you guys. Now, by the way, if you actually check out the Young Guns checklist, I made the caveat, actual rookies. But if you go
Right.
and look at the Young Guns checklist that year, you will see Roberto Luongo and some other decent players, but they're not actually rookies. So that's why I made an important distinction with that. I don't count them the same. That's the only reason why.
That was
Otherwise,
during
I could have counted.
that era when my Upper Deck was still putting out the World Junior cards and stuff like that, and those
Mhm.
were considered rookies even though they weren't in pro unis.
So here you
Oh,
go.
wow.
So you got Pat. So these are your 2 guys. You got Patrick
Okay.
Stiffan here, and you got Oleg Saprikin. These are your 2 from 99-2000 that are available as exclusives and 1-of-1s. They theoretically exist. I've never seen either one of them, but they do exist. These are your OG 1-of-1 Young Guns before this year's class, which will be the second run of them.
Yeah. I would.
A little hashtag scholarship.
I wonder if there's any provenance if those cards are actually in like a collector's hands, or some kid just opened them and threw them in a box.
I would
He
love to
probably
know,
didn't know.
because for a moment in time, Patrick Stiffan was a big deal. I remember him being in a ton of product, and he was the big pull that year. Obviously, didn't work out. Oleg Saprikin, not so much either. Neither one of the guys really made too much of an impact. And it was just funny that they happened to be. If they had Young Guns in 98-99, it would have been, I think, marginally better. There were a few better rookies that year. Not a lot. I think you probably could have gotten Milan Hadoop from Colorado. You probably could have gotten him in there. I think he was in that year. But it wasn't that great. 98, 99, 99, 2000 were not good years for rookies. There would be better years later, but the 1-of-1 wasn't available. You could get exclusives, but not 1-of-1s. So there you go. A little hockey history hashtag scholarship for y'all.
Well done.
So did I understand you correctly? And they're not just adding 1-of-1, but there's going to be other
Mhm.
paralleled serial numbers as well now. So we're going to have the 10s, the 100s, probably 50. I do not.
I think there's a
like that at
250
all.
and something. I'll get the exact, but there's a bunch. There's going to be a bunch this time.
My
I don't
question:
like that.
are the
but-
cards identical with just simply different serial numbers stamped on them, or are they actually going to be different?
So a few of them are, and I'll show you an example. The
I
problem
have
with
no
mock-ups is that
tolerance
you can't
left.
tell too much.
I have no
let me
tolerance left for these serial numbered cards that are all identical except for the stamp.
So this, I'm just
So the
looking at the mock-up.
background.
So if we take a look at the mock-up, that looks to me like some kind of effect, almost like a Dufex design. I'm thinking almost like what they did in some of the sparklers.
It looks like
Or
the
Dazzlers.
Dazzlers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, that's at least neat looking. I could accept that. That's at least a little more interesting. And there is a silver version as well, which is more available. So it seems to me that if again, it's a mock-up, so you got to see it in hand to be 100%. But I think that's what they're offering here.
But again, the image will be the same,
Yes,
except
they're parallels, Eric. Yes,
silver versus gold.
yes,
Instead of
basically.
having a different photo. Yeah, I understand why that is the way they do it. I understand they want to build interest and build chases, and they can't have different pictures and things because that will cost more money and it take. I understand all the ins and outs. I am not naive to any of it. I understand business first. I understand profit first. I get it. I still hate it.
I
As
don't
long
like
as,
it
as long
either.
as we're clear on that, I thought after all that preamble, you were going to say, "I love it."
Yeah.
No, I understand it. It does not need to be explained to me of the reasons why. I fully understand. And being friends with Billy, he continues to make me understand when I complain about things. And it all comes down to money, and that's fine. But again, I showed you guys earlier. I just got these, and one is stamped 1 out of 2, and the other one's stamped 16 out of 25, and they're pretty much identical.
Yeah, except for the foil. So in other words, you're saying in addition to understanding, you're also a hypocrite.
Well, as we also discussed off air, being a player collector sucks. Whereas if I was just collecting cards, I'd be like, yeah, one is fine. I don't need every single one. But being a player collector, it just destroys your brain and your wallet.
Amazing.
Can't
Was
confirm.
there Was there any mention in the article of those outbursts? Are they going to be hobby box only, or are they going to transfer to EPAC as well?
I will scan for you, but we'll move on for now. But I will scan for you and see what I can find. But I will, and we're going to do a more of a breakdown when we get to the AMG portion of it when I do that episode tomorrow. By the way, also now would be a good time to also mention that AMG sponsors and supports the channel. So thank you to AMG for their patronage in this channel. Indeed, indeed.
Awesome.
And continuing to somebody has to continue to supply Eric with his Reggie lemon. So if any more of those were to come to pass, that might come via AMG, allegedly. Just throwing that out there.
You're just lucky this is 5% more mature.
We're very fortunate. We're all blessed. Hashtag blessed.
Because I have
that is the
plenty to
case.
say, and things will be said on Friday. But
There you go. Perfect.
I have 5% more mature on Mondays.
Well, can we satiate you by moving over to some hockey's talk? Can we talk some hockeys now?
I would love to talk to some hockeys.
Excellent.
I like
So
to
we did a
start-
little hashtag scholarship. Hopefully you all enjoy the little trip down. If you didn't know, now you know. There was a little history of Young Guns. By the way, it's very particular. If you notice, I had to narrow it down to 2 people because only 2 qualified. So it's not the whole checklist. So just an important distinction to make. If you want the OG ones, there's only 2 options available to you. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on this year in the hockey season. We just got underway. Obviously, a lot of the attention. Even tonight, right now, the Bedard train rolls on into Toronto. And I've already seen, I think Bedard's been shown on screen about 457,000 times. I think he's actually far exceeded anything that Taylor Swift can even hope for. And also, we've seen Bedard's parents probably about 15,000 times. So good news for all involved. But there is other stuff going on, and we can talk about a little bit going on with our respective teams. But before we do, I want to touch on a few things. Last year, one thing we noticed was a big uptick in offense. So let me talk about that for a moment here. And one of the beneficiaries was Bobbles guy, Jason Robertson. The J-Rob pump will be in full effect tonight, yet again. But he was one of the beneficiaries. We had, I believe it was 800 or 900-point players. So we actually had quite a number of them. And Connor McDavid had the first 150-point season in quite a long time. We got to go back to the high octane offense days, and we got to be talking Mario Lemieux and those kind of guys in order to get that kind of offense going. But let me start off with this. So given what happened and that the offense still seems to be going pretty good in the early games, I still see games that are 6-5, 5-4 and stuff like that. I'm still seeing that. Do we have something resembling another 140, let me say 140 plus point season? Do we get another, either McDavid or someone else? Doesn't have to be just him. Do we get another performance like that this year?
I think given the number of 100-point scorers and 50-plus goal scorers, I think we're definitely trending in that way. And I think the early returns just to the first 4 games of the season point to an increase in scoring. I don't know what the impetus is for that, but having more goals in hockey is never a bad thing. And having people sit on 1-goal leads in their own end is boring. And so maybe this higher octane stuff will bring additional eyeballs to the sport. But yeah, I mean, looking at the goal scoring leaders list and the points list, it's kind of impressive. It's great.
Mm-hmm. Now, can I pose kind of a side question based on that thought? And I want to bring Bobbles and Eric into this portion of the conversation as well, but kind of a quick side conversation with that. As Wes correctly mentions, obviously we did see a little bit more high octane scoring, but also the ESPN TV deal and coverage kind of picked up. So do we have a little hashtag conspiracy? How convenient that a more exciting brand of offensive hockey, suddenly a more exciting form of the hockeys, suddenly plays in as ESPN comes in. It's like, we demand scoring. Very well, our ESPN masters. Is it a little bit of that? Is just something I throw out there, just out of curiosity?
I don't know what you would have to change in the game. I mean, we made the goalie pad smaller, right? That was 3 or 4 years ago, and there wasn't an appreciable difference. So, and there's no significant rule change. So conspiracy is possible, but there's nothing you can point to and say this is the thing this is why scoring is up.
Well, it wasn't a change, but there was, I want to say a couple of years ago, and it might just be taking fruit and bearing fruit now. There was more of an emphasis put on really calling certain interference type penalties and basically being don't get in the way. If you're not playing the puck, kind of stay out of the way, which in turn would create more room for a playmaker to be able to kind of operate in their space without being, having too many people bump up against them. At first, a very small difference, but then as soon as it becomes clear to everybody that's how it's being called, you're suddenly creating a little more space, and then you get a little more puck movement. Well, instinctively, more puck movement is going to give you more chances.
Right.
I would take a look, not so much in the last year or two, but for the last 20 years or so. We went through the 80s high octane. Gretzky's scoring 200 points. Lemieux scored 199. Just about every star on every team cracked 100 every single year. Then, the 90s came in, and they really started playing a defensive style. The Devils came out, changed hockey for a good many years with their defensive style, won a bunch of cups. Didn't hurt that they had Hall of Fame defensemen and, one of the greatest goalies of all time. But defense, for a hockey purist, that is incredible hockey. For the casual fan, the new fan, and the I hate hockey people, that is never going to put butts in seats in the stadium or the living room or the bar. So what did they do? So
The fox-track puck.
They tried. They tried. That was a poor attempt, but it was an effort nonetheless.
It was an attempt. It was an attempt to get new people involved who said, I can't watch hockey on TV because I can't follow the puck. Well, you're an idiot. But that's wow.
The whole
Bobbles, Eric is saying this like this. Ooh.
I know. I got to be 5% more mature. So, so what they started to do is they started making drastic rule changes over the years. Now they started off with things such as cutting down the padding of the goalies. There was one goalie in particular who literally put blocks, these blocks in.
I want to say it was Jaguar. I think it was Jaguar who had the mechanism that would raise the shoulder blades.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So they had gloves that were too big. They had pads that were too big. They started sticking things under their shoulders to make their shoulders higher. They said enough of that. They started saying, okay, goalies, we're going to set up this area in the back of the net where you can only touch the puck there instead of coming out all over the place and slowing down play.
I think that was the trapezoid. I think that's the one they put there.
Right.
Yeah.
They said, okay, our experiment with, and this one will hit home for you three with, no feet in the crease. We're going to go back to saying, yes, you can have a foot in the crease.
Also known as justice. Also known as, valid.
If you're from Buffalo, it's not called justice.
But Buffalo isn't a place that doesn't count. Go on.
They got rid of the red line. That
definitely helped.
Yeah, they have really started to protect the offensive players. One of because there were many of the reasons Lemieux retired was because he was completely done with the beating he was taking every night. And that was slowing down his production. Well, now you can't do to any player, but especially the star players, what they were doing to Mario Lemieux, who was still scoring 199 points a season, by the way. Mm-hmm. And that was the only way to stop him, was to beat the bejesus out of him. Yeah. Now you can't do that. So these are just some of the things they have done over the last 20 years to make this a higher scoring, more exciting, faster game. So when you ask, are we going to continue to see this trend? The answer is absolutely. The league wants us to go back to the 80s. That is when it was the most exciting. What was the one thing in the 80s that slowed the game down, which they don't allow anymore? Fighting.
Fighting, yeah.
You were allowed to have bench clearing brawls in the early 80s. There were fights all over the place. The policing, just absolute 10 minutes or plus of everybody gets a partner and dances.
Right.
That stuff's not allowed anymore. Now they're trying to get fighting out I hope they never get it completely out, but now they got the misconducts and the instigators and all this crap that's continuing to speed up the game. And now there's no policing. None of that. Everybody gets a dance partner back like the Avalanche and Red Wings in the playoff days. That was like the last time you saw everyone gets a partner and dance.
Mm-hmm.
Those days are done. And they're going to continue to tweak the game to make it faster and make it high scoring. Don't be surprised in 10 years if they don't add 2 inches on each side of the nets. You know, they've adjusted the net height and the net width in the past.
Yeah.
They'll do it again. They'll
Yeah.
make the pads smaller. They will continue to tweak this because if sports in general learned during the steroid era of baseball that what did that little kid in the little league say? Chicks love the dingers, or chicks love the long
The
ball.
long ball. Yeah.
Okay. Major League Baseball never made so much money than when McGuire and Sosa were hitting bombs. They would have them in the. I'd be watching, the TV show Lost or something, and they in the corner of the TV screen is Sammy Sosa up at bat. It didn't matter if I liked baseball or not. There was Sammy Sosa. Okay.
Yeah.
The NHL dreams of that, and they know the only way to ever do it is to have Gretzky-like numbers again. And they're going to continue pushing it. So yes, we will see it. We will continue to see it. And not only are we going to see 60 goal scorers, 150 point guys on the regular, in the near future, we're going to see even bigger numbers than that. We're going to see 80s numbers again.
I can't wait. I would love the regular 10-9 hockey game. I think
That's
it
an
makes
all-star game.
Yeah. Oh,
And-
that's fine.
And the reason they changed the all-star game was because that was fun the first couple of years that the score got crazy.
Yeah.
And then the fans were like, we don't like this anymore.
Eric likes the fighting. He wants some physicality. Eric, the fighting has gone to the Walmart parking lot where it belongs.
I enjoy
There
the
is
fighting too. I got to be
thing.
honest. I think there's a happy medium
There
between
is such a
improved
thing
scoring.
as too much of a good thing. And a 10-9 hockey game will get old quick. Because the purists, which continue to drive the sport and drive the fan base, and for our situation, the collecting, they're not going to tolerate it.
But could that be offset by the additional eyeballs and the additional collectors you get because you have 550-point guys in the league? Madonna is an icon in Dallas. He's on the Mount Rushmore of Dallas sports. He never got anywhere close to what Jason Robertson got last year. If Jason Robertson is a consistent 100-point guy for 7 or 8 years, it will do wonders in a fair weather city like Dallas.
We'll get to that. You settle down. We'll get to
that. It will do wonders for a fair weather city like Dallas to really put. I mean, look, the Stars do a great job of selling out an arena, but you wouldn't know it through the first period because it's impossible. It's really hard to get to that place. But if there's someone to see in addition to your own guy, and it's exciting, and you do have a 10-9 game or a 8-0 game, I think people are really going to respond to that. And I understand what you're saying about baseball purists, and there are I'm sorry, not baseball, hockey purists, but the baseball purists are the same way. They hated the pitch clock, and look at what a fantastic job it's done.
I've got a chance to watch. I barely watched the regular season, but in the playoffs, I have enjoyed it. I have enjoyed that it's kept the flow going. Yeah. I think it's been good. I think there is to your point, I think there is a happy medium. I think we can have a higher scoring game, and to assuage Eric's bloodlust, we'll just give more alcohol to the audience, and then they'll fight in the stands. Yeah. And then we get fighting, we get death, and we get scoring on the ice. Bubbles. Everybody wins.
Yeah, it's always interesting because
I just died here in Massachusetts at the Patriots game because he got into a fight in the stands. And
yeah, that was very unfortunate.
It's tremendously unfortunate, and Eric would have been okay with it if it had been 50 people dying. Increase the numbers. Like 1. Oh, this is weak. Eric was messaging me. He goes, I heard a guy died at the stadium. 1? There were 80,000 people there? How did we only get one? Eric is
5
very
5%
bloodthirsty on his own
5%
side.
more mature.
Bloodthirsty, this man. Good Lord.
5% more mature.
My always like the fun thing with the conversations of the scoring elevation and amongst all sports. We need more scoring. We need more scoring. People want to see scoring. But then on the flip side, you hear the games take too long. The games take too long. The games take too long. And it's always been interesting to me because, like in example of baseball, now I get the pitch clock that speeds up the at bats and everything because you don't have the guys adjusting their gloves and all this other stuff. But lower scoring games actually go quicker because there's not as much trotting around the bases. And if you have no hitter, you have less, you got 27 guys up and 27 guys down. It's going to be much quicker. It's the same way in football. They score a touchdown, you got a freaking commercial break. So it's always been this interesting balance of they want all of the games to go faster, but they also want to increase the scoring of them. So I can't speak on the past 20 years of hockey because I am the newbie of the room for hockey. What I will say as a new fan, I like the sport because it is fast paced. And I don't know if that's due to players being younger today with talent at their young age, such you mentioned Bedard. But I also like it that it's physical. They may not be able to fight as much, but they're allowed to hit each other. I hate football. I played wide receiver, and I hate that football players have pads and are these physical beings, and they can't touch each other. Like, that annoys me. So yeah, I like the combination of the game being competitive, fast-paced, and physical. I just feel like overall it brings more, it's more interesting that way.
Sure.
So
Now, I want to touch on two quick things there from what you said. One of the things, I don't disagree with the idea of what you said, that a low scoring game in baseball can be quick, but a key is the thing with the pitch clock, what it's done is it got rid of a lot of the superfluous extra. It forced
yeah,
the
that
players to be like, commit, because it doesn't
Yep.
take you 5 minutes to come up with a pitch. And then
Yeah.
that was the problem. It wasn't the high scoring or low scoring game that was slowing the thing. A guy can hit a home run and trot around the base in a couple of seconds. That's not, it's a 3 outcome game now, which is hurting the sport a little bit. That's the higher offense because guys are swinging from the heels to try to hit a home run or they strike out. So we're getting these basic outcomes, and that's all that's happening. However, if you're going to do that, which guys are doing it now, analytics, and they've been told that that's the way to do it now. Well, if you're going to do that, though, then taking an inordinate amount of time in between each at bat to readjust your equipment, to
Yep.
think about it, to write a poem to a family member, and then finally come back into the batter's box. That's where we get run into a bit of a problem because that's not actually contributing to the flow of the game at all. No, step foot in the
Right.
batter's box. The guy pitches, you hit it or you don't. At least we have a result, one way or the other.
Yep.
Bring it back over to hockey, though. I think what's helped a lot because I agree there's a lot of young talent. However, being exactly the age that I am, few of us are as old as Eric, and talk about the early days of hockey when there was a ton of scoring, but there was only like 20 games a year. Very different sport. But bringing it to the present day, 1991 had one of the greatest rookie classes that'll ever be. Go look at that rookie. Go look at the rookie card list of 1991, and there's Hall of Famers, offensive talent galore, amazing talent, and that's despite the fact that within about 5 years they enter the clutching and grabbing era.
Yeah.
This was the offensive talent you had that was stifled almost immediately when they came out of the block. Wes talked about Modano and how about Jason Robertson, got a season last year that is higher than anything Modano ever did. Modano didn't play in an era where that was possible. He had people in his face all the time.
89 would probably have been 89-90 would have been the 1 year where he probably was at his offensive apex because it hadn't gotten to that point yet.
Yeah. And he had his first year in Dallas where he got the 50 goals, and that
Yep.
was at the beginning. And then part of it was also self-imposed because the team themselves, Ken Hitchcock, when he came in as coach, his mandate was, you've got so much talent, you can skate so well, you're so fast, but I know you can score, but can you be a two-way player? Can you help us by being so he basically told him to throttle down the offense and he go, focus on doing both. You can be a great defender, go forecheck, go do all these other things, be a leader that way. But then, yeah, you'll score some goals here and there. But one of the key is if you go back to the 90s, there was a year where Medano was in the top 10 in scoring, and I think he had like mid 80s points, but he was in the top 10.
Yeah.
Last year we had like 900-point guys, completely different context in terms of leaps and bounds. But that's how it was because guess what? Nobody was scoring at that level. There were years where you didn't have a 50 goal, you didn't have a 50 goal scorer,
right?
Let alone having a 60 goal scorer and a bunch of 50s.
Yeah.
So it helps that these guys, these young guys with talent, are also getting space to work. You give them space to work, you give them, let them do their thing. It helps bring the scoring up as well.
Does all of this, with the changes that have been discussed, make it more or less impressive of a season for the Boston Bruins?
Ooh, I think that's a very valid question.
Well, I think the outcome was not ideal, but I mean, what they did was impressive.
Suboptimal. Suboptimal, some would argue.
Yeah.
For the audio version, for the audio version, Eric's video is cut out. It was very tragic. Eric's video was cut out. He's still here, but his video has disappeared. His webcam suddenly malfunctioned or something. I'm not sure.
I think he's clearing his desk off right now.
Oh, I think that's
happening violently, but clearing it off. I could see moving forward that there is a Bruins-like team that has an amazing offensive and impressive win total per year moving forward. I was going to say the Jamie Benn Hart year, the year he won the scoring title. That seems to have been the apex of that revolution through the 90s, and then he won the scoring title with 87 points or something like that, which was
it was something like that,
yeah. And then that kind of capped off, and that's not happened again. And I see with the more open ice, with smaller, faster guys like Bedard coming in, being able to move up and down the ice without without any headhunting. There's nobody like Scott Niedermayer lining anybody up to end their careers, and I like that dude. I have many of his cards, but
and Scott Stevens, I think Scott Stevens is the main culprit. But Niedermayer was also a physical player. He was but Scott Stevens is the infamous physical, let's say very, very physical player.
He killed a man on live TV.
Yeah. Did he hit Korea, or was he the Lindros?
He was Korea. Yeah, he's the one who satiated Eric's bloodlust.
Yeah. I mean, those guys, those teams were. I'm sorry, Eric. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Paul Korea died that day. I don't care. I watched that man die. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, that puff of air hit his face mask, and he's like, he's alive again.
Yeah.
But do you feel that you giggling like a schoolgirl while watching the hit was appropriate?
I was not. I remember watching that live. My jaw was agape. I don't think
those around you were agape when they were watching you giggle to yourself. Like, if he dies, he dies. You were suddenly Ivan Drago from Rocky IV. What happened over there?
5% more mature. 5% more mature. 5% more mature.
I'm merely stating facts. Please continue. Please continue.
I'm being 5% more mature.
Yeah, but taking the headhunting out, I think, is a fantastic way for the sport to progress. And you want to have your best guys out there. And the NFL's probably carried it too far by you can only hit the quarterback from above the knee and below the neck. And but we got to do what we got to do to keep the stars on the field and the ice.
Well,
I want to touch on something. Just 1 second, Eric. I just want to touch on one thing that Eric's saying, though. There is a pendulum in all the sports that can swing one way or the other. I agree with him that for the NFL and the quarterbacks, the protection, like the halo of protection they have where some guys can't get touched, is a little too much. Yeah. I think in hockey, though, it became very important to be like, we've got these superstars and we need to – the NHL maybe, hopefully – Bedard might be like us getting an overload now, but for years they didn't market them. For years they didn't market the stars at all. So now I'm glad they're at least trying to market them, but also you got to keep them on the ice to market them. A player on the injured reserve who's being marketed doesn't do you any good. So go ahead, Eric. Sorry.
I was just going to say this protecting players has gone awry in one way that I know of, and I've talked to many former NHL players. I talk to one every single day, who's a buddy of mine.
Hashtag humble brag.
No, I'm just trying to explain. He was an NHL defenseman. He sees things that I don't see, so we always talk about the game, and I always am fascinated by the stuff he tells me that he saw while watching the game, because it never would have crossed my mind. And one of the things that we agree on is that because of the new rules that are protecting players, these young players coming in, and we see it all the time throughout the league the last few years, they no longer know how to protect themselves.
Hmm.
When you are going 100 miles chasing 100 miles an hour chasing a puck, I'm sorry, was that like 5,000 kilometers? Did I not say
I think
that?
if you use your special calculator, perhaps.
Yeah. So if you're going about 5,000 kilometers an hour into the boards,
5% more mature.
going in,
That's what he's going with.
and all they're showing are numbers. You go back to early hockey in the 50s, 60s, 70s, right? These guys are going in shoulder first. They're going in to protect themselves. They're not going in with their head down towards the boards. So now you have a defenseman who's coming in chasing, the forward, and is trying to check them. Well, these guys are continually now getting hurt, getting head trauma, dislocating all sorts of parts, crumpling like an accordion, because they no longer know how to protect themselves when they're going into the boards, into the corners, into those dirty spots. And all these defensemen see are their nameplate and numbers, and they're no longer allowed to hit them in that position. A position they should not be in. Bad coaching and these stupid rules that are overly protective, who have taught them bad habits now. So now the offensive guy can go in. He's like, well, he can't hit me if he sees my numbers. He can go in and get the puck and make a play, and the defenseman's no longer allowed to hit them. And when they do hit them, offensive players are getting hurt badly. And it's all stemming from the fact that they no longer know how to protect themselves.
What's funny is I remember hearing this exact argument when they talked about the difference when helmets were introduced. There were players who were arguing that with helmets, the players won't respect each other, but that goes back a long ways. The helmets has been mandated now for some time.
Listen, I've had the pleasure of talking to Derek Sanderson many times. You talk to him long enough, sooner or later, he will start the speech. And that speech is putting helmets on players made the game more dangerous. And he believes it 100%. He goes step by step into why he feels that way. It's not just, he doesn't just say something and then leave it alone. He will have a 20-minute conversation with you and break it down to why helmets should not be allowed in the NHL. And if you don't walk away from a conversation with Derek Sanderson after 20 minutes of him explaining to you that, and you're at least questioning the idea, then you're an idiot. Because this guy's forgotten about more hockey than you've ever learned.
I think I've actually heard a variation of this exact argument, and I'm sure he made a lot of the same points, but I'm going to retort one thing. It all begins with one specific assumption, because when we talk about a theory, you talk about assumptions. I am making certain assumptions. That's what I'm basing the theory on. And if you don't accept the assumptions, it breaks the whole thing. The whole thing falls apart. There's one assumption that Sanderson is making that a lot of these old-time players make. It is that, if you didn't have the helmet and you coach the players differently, they wouldn't take liberties. They wouldn't be more aggressive. They wouldn't be dirtier, even if given the chance. I think some of these guys would take their heads off anyway, helmet or no helmet. The idea that, because it's helmet, the players are being more, they're not being as careful. You're probably right. But I could see some players being just as reckless without a helmet on. And some players would go head hunting without the helmet just the same way. They don't care. They would take somebody's head off anyway.
We literally used to fight with sticks with no helmets and hit each other in the head. Ted Green almost died.
Yeah. And the players are bigger now than they were then. So my point is, I think bigger guys would be hitting each other the same way. The idea that I understand the general point,
right?
But the general idea, it would almost be to a certain degree like arguing that, well, if we took away seatbelts, then people would drive the speed limit. No, they wouldn't. They would just drive fast and take their chances. They would go for it, and hopefully today's not my day.
Just to be clear, the primary part of his philosophy is kind of what I already touched on, and maybe I got it from him. Maybe I got this way of thinking from him specifically.
You're saying Sanderson is controlling you?
Well, he changed my name and everything. Look at it; it's ridiculous.
It explains a lot.
So it's really not so much about your opponent respecting you because you're not wearing a helmet. It's about you taking more precautions in your game to protect yourself because you are not wearing a helmet. These kids today, I mean, they are padded up with freaking Kevlar. I mean, they're wearing Kevlar.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going into those boards faster than any players have ever gone into the boards. And all they got is their backs turned. And someone's going to get hurt really bad. We're going to have another Travis Roy, and if you don't know who Travis Roy is, he played for Boston University many years ago. And on his very first shift in D1 hockey, he ended up going headfirst into the boards and breaking his neck. He died a few years ago. He became a motivational speaker, and he did a lot of work with the NHL about player safety and things like that. And he wrote a book, and it was, it's a very sad story. But you're going to see something really bad happen in the NHL level if these younger players don't learn some of the older techniques. You can't sprint into the boards with your numbers showing and have a 230-pound all-muscle defenseman, 6 something, chasing you. You're going to die. You have to.
So what I got out of it, and I know you could go on for a while, Eric, but I want to make sure we get a chance to touch on some of the other topics. If you want the rest of Eric's TED Talk, you can find that on his OnlyFans.
Sanderson.
I won't share it with you because I have decency, but I want you to know the rest of his TED Talk is available there. And Eric's solution to this is to watch Slapshot. Learn some old-time hockey. That'll fix everything.
I thought it was Mighty Ducks.
Eric might have gotten confused at the VHS store. One or the other. Like, it is going to go one of two ways.
Kind and rewound.
Always.
Either you're going to learn to foil up or the flying VE. One or the other. One way or the other. At least Medana was in the first one, so that's good. That's all right. Just throwing it out there. But yes, I wanted to make sure we got a chance to touch on it. So there you go. There's a couple of conveying theories, and I'm sure we'll have a little more time. Eric, I'll give you a little more time on Friday to give us some more of the Sanderson speech, just to be fair. But I do want to touch on a couple of other things. Other than that, a lot of this conversation came about as a result of talking about the scoring element and the changes that precipitated some of that. And hopefully, I think as a viewer, I agree that it is more fun to see a little bit more scoring. The best Dallas Star period was a clutching and grabbing era team with great defense. Let's get this right. But sometimes those games were a slog to watch through. Great players, since you have a team full of Hall of Famers, but man, it was a slog. Look, I don't want to watch another triple overtime Stanley Cup final game. I don't need that in my life.
Nope. No. I was doing gigs when that happened, and we were on our way to a gig about midnight when the goal was scored. So I only heard it on the radio. I never saw it on TV live. One of my major regrets, like having children.
Valid, on par. That right there is a takeaway line. That's important.
Yeah,
that's important.
Same thing.
I did actually. I think I still have it somewhere. I actually have the digital version of that Game 6. So I've actually been able to watch it a couple times since then.
My heart does not regret having a child, but my wallet is very upset.
Oh,
I was about to ask, are you sure you weren't going to go hold up a sign that says, "I'm saying this under duress"?
Yeah.
No, it's just like, listen, I love my children with all of my heart.
Yes.
I would do anything for them.
With love. My wallet hates her.
Yeah.
There you go. Fair enough. Let's touch on one more thing then. We talked a little bit about the offensive portion of it. Let me ask this question. We'll do this question and then we'll move it over into a collecting part of the discussion. So one more question about the season itself. Do you guys think we're going to get any kind of a surprise? A lot of times I always feel like there's a surprise team or someone that, has some, exceeds expectations. Do you have a candidate that you think might be able to be a dark horse of some kind that could exceed expectations? So let me start off, Eric. Give it a moment's thought, but is there any team that you feel like would be a good candidate, maybe to make a leap, maybe get to the playoffs from the outside, or maybe make a run, anything like that?
I think it's too early to tell about something like that. I know it sounds funny coming from me and everything, but after what happened with Boston last year with having
What happened with Boston, by the way?
I don't want to talk about it. I think they realized that they needed a different type of team because the playoffs is different than regular season. And I definitely think that the Bruins have a better shot this year even than last. Last year they weren't built for the playoffs. They were built for the regular season. You got to get dirty. You got to get in those corners. You got to Pasta's great with his 60 something goals, but that guy wouldn't get dirty to save his life. So they brought Lucic back. So now we got somebody who's going to get dirty, and that's a big part of the game. So I think we're built more for the playoffs this year than we were even last year.
Eric says more goonery from the Bruins. All right. Wes or Bobbles, who would like to take a shot at this one?
Go ahead, Wes.
I was going to say, obviously it's early, but I think the Blues might have a chance to be a little better than everybody thinks they're going to be.
Okay.
I hate Bennington. I think he's a wiener, but he does have kind of a proven track record, and so he could carry them a lot further than people think they are. Now, I don't think they're going to be one of the best teams in the West, but it could be a surprise playoff team.
Sure.
I was going to say on the opposite end of that, I don't think Vegas is going to be as good as they were last year, but that's just me.
Okay, but that's so when I asked that question, that's kind of so Eric, that was kind of the angle that I was taking, because there could be a team that maybe underperformed, that maybe you think goes back to kind of where you would have expected them to be given where they're sitting, or maybe a team that showed potential and just didn't get a chance to fully exploit it last year. So those are the kind of candidates that I'm referring to. I know it's early, but sometimes a team will show you some flashes last season, for example, and you sit there and go like, a couple of things go right. They could take a leap forward from where they were. They just didn't have it last year, but enough of the pieces are in place where I think maybe they could move that next step. Bubbles, did you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I'm going to go with the other guys and say it's early, but I'm going to say with this early, small samples we have, I'm going to go out on the limb and say that the Bedard-led Blackhawks have actually looked really good. They came back against a Pittsburgh squad down 2-0. They played the Boston Bruins pretty well, and they're up tonight on the Maple Leafs 3-1, who had a hot Austin Matthews coming in with back-to-back hat tricks. So they could be better than expected. Maybe this young squad that has nothing to lose, they have some camaraderie there. You got the excitement of Bedard. You got all eyes on them. Maybe they do better than expected. On the flip side, unfortunately for me, because my wife actually really enjoys hockey, her Seattle Kraken have looked terrible. I also seen a report Brandon Tanev is out 4 to 6 weeks, which is not going to help them at all because he's one of their best players. And they have not won a game yet this year. So they're going to be the team that had, right now, they were very impressive last year. You would have thought they could have improved on that this year, and it's looking like the opposite. So that's my 2 picks.
Fair enough. Well, she'll see. We'll revisit this conversation once we have a little bit of a bigger sample size, but it is always kind of interesting to see. Early season is always weird because you'll have those little runs. As Bobbles mentioned, Austin Matthews went back-to-back hat tricks. That doesn't mean anything other than he got off to a hard start, and that happens. But he is a really good goal scorer. So it's one of those things where he could have a run where he gets super hot. And he's one of those candidates. We talked about the 60 goal thing. He's the guy who's already done that. So he's certainly a candidate to go back to that, especially if he's given room, and health, of course, is key for him. If he stays healthy and is able to do what he can do, he got 40 goals last year, and that was a quote unquote disappointment. If you're the kind of goal scorer who 40 goals is a disappointment, it means you're always a candidate to be a 50 or 60 or even more goal scorer if you get hot. So we'll definitely have to see how that one plays out. But let's do some shameless pandering to our own team, shall we? We've got 2 Dallas Stars jerseys on the screen, plus Bobbles has got his Dallas there. Is that like a hoodie? Perfect. Very nice.
Yes.
And Eric got his lost in the mail. It's very sad. We expected other things from you, Eric.
No,
We expected
it
other
not
things.
lost in the mail. It was never in the mail. Never will be
Terrible.
in the mail.
Terrible. We might have to get it in the mail for you.
Yeah,
that
I
might,
was
that
just
might be the next
thinking-
logical step.
I mean, Christmas is right around the corner, Eric. You just tell us what size, and
Mhm.
we'll load you up with some stars
Yeah.
here, buddy.
There is not one Dallas Star item in my house. There's not one.
You know,
Well, we got to
Eric-
change that.
Eric, if you want, we can probably get, if Fanatics Overlords are listening, we can probably get the hookup for you, and you can use it for Halloween to dress as a fan of a relevant hockey team. Think about
Have you
it.
ever noticed? Have you ever noticed, Eric, that the Boston Bruins
Don't gloss
colors-
over such a beautiful shot, Bobbles. That's glorious.
the Boston Bruins colors, though? In all seriousness, if you look at them, they kind of look like a little mixture of mayonnaise and mustard, and it's very odd that he is such a fan of that team. So I mean, I'm just saying, Eric, green would look good on you, buddy.
That was just mean. And Wes, I appreciate it. And I really did appreciate it. All right. So let's do some shameless pandering. So gentlemen, I will defer to you, Wes, as the guest. I will defer to you first. Miro Heiskanen, he is your PC player. And this kind of general topic, what we're going to talk about here to kind of close this episode out, to talk about cards and collecting again, is for our teams, we've got players that we collect who represent the current franchise.
Right.
Because obviously I've got my Mike Modano collection. I could bring a bunch of stuff, but he's retired. That's in the past. Still fun for me to collect, but I like having a guy who's on the current team that I can kind of follow. And I'll get to mine in a minute here. And Bobbles, of course, has one that we'll talk about as well. But let's start off with Wes. Miro Heiskanen. First question. Why Miro?
So Miro, he was the best draft pick the team had in short of a generation.
Sure.
I don't think that there was another. They've had good players here and there, but he was the first one that I really felt like. He and Luca came in at the same time in Dallas, so there was a lot of hype with that and stuff like that, and
Mhm.
he just it just felt right. I love defensive players. I love offensive linemen in football, as you guys know. So I kind of collect off the wall stuff. I don't necessarily like the most popular things. So, when he was drafted and he came in and he played as well as he did in 2018, that just iced it for me. He was a guy that, one, I could afford, and two, that I enjoyed watching play, and I felt like was a budding superstar.
Beautiful. All right. Kind of follow-up question on that. And Bobbles, I'll ask you the same kind of questions just so that we all kind of line it up the same way. Follow-up question. As far as your collection is concerned, when you're building it out, there are a million ways to do it. And there's no wrong way to do a player collection. Personally, that's my favorite genre. I love player collecting. You've got your great player collection, so that's fun. But there's the kind of the expansive, there is the pick and choose kind of like fine. So you're trying to do like a Mount Rushmore thing, or are you trying to pick and choose a cross section of like, or is it just your favorites, whatever is aesthetically pleasing to you? What is your path?
So originally it was a very scattershot approach. I do have to give you credit because your Madonna and JB Ben collections kind of helped me like refine things that
Sure.
it was okay to buy things that aren't necessarily rookie cards if you enjoy the particular player. So but my focus is I do buy all kinds of inserts and weird off-ball stuff, and
Sure.
I'll buy finished cards. There's a couple of those out there, and so yeah, I'll pick those things up too, just for completionist sake. Not quite as OCD as yours, but I basically I like the card to be aesthetically pleasing. Excuse me. I like it to have a little bit of shine or a cool patch. I primarily hunt autos. That's my big thing. So if anything fits all three of those, and I like oddball sets. So and I tend to gravitate towards uglier stuff too.
Nice. So is there any examples? So let me adjust. So for the video folks, I'm actually going to tweak and adjust here. Let me use this. See if I can find the right layout. Perfect. This will be the perfect layout for us. Is there anything that you'd like to share?
Sure.
examples.
So I I have always liked Prism Chrome cards, etc. So when I discovered O-Pee-Chee Platinum, that was definitely one for me. So I have been hunting his 2018 rookies in various parallels. So there's the orange checker, which meets the
Nice.
ugly card parallel. That's the 25 and a PSA 10.
And I'll remove the logo so that Bobbles is not obscured, so that you can all see his visage while he's reacting to this. So please continue.
I also once I started doing that, I was like, you know what? I kind of need to work on the rainbow. So I picked up the red prism in a
Beautiful. Very
KSA
nice.
case, which was the same price as raw. So I
Well,
figured, well,
let's give him their credit. That's the good old M&T. That's
yeah.
M&T.
Oh, M&T. I'm sorry.
Of
Whatever. I
course.
had never held either one before, and so I was like, all right.
That's okay. The majority of people that I could show a lot of people the M&T, and they're like, "What the hell is that?
Yeah.
Is that Beckett?
Yeah.
Eric, did you change the holder?
I was bored.
There you go.
It is very much a Beckett holder. It's like a skinnier version of the Beckett holder.
It very much resembles that. Yeah.
And then this really started me down the O-Pee-Chee Platinum pathway, and that was the Seismic Gold.
Yeah.
Once I got that into 10, that's the 50. I was like, you know what? I really like this card. This is awesome. And who doesn't love gold? And so those are the ones I went after. So that's sort of the higher end stuff that I have. As far as when I was going through my collection and looking at all of the autos I had purchased, I realized that I had the entire Sub-Zero Ice Rainbow.
Okay.
This is the non-auto. This is to 24. I have one to 10, and then I have a blue auto as well. I think to 50.
Very nice. Very nice.
Another O-Pee-Chee Platinum. This is the retro red rainbow auto. I think these are awesome. This is one of the coolest designs. It's kind of got a classic look and just pops. And it looks really nice in a PSA case, gotta say.
I think
and then, of
I
course,
think the go ahead.
No, after you.
All I was going to say was that I do think that Upper Deck with the O-Pee-Chee Platinum caught on to a good thing for the player collectors to give them a lot. It's their chromium card that has a lot of nice parallels. And if you want to do the rainbow, you can.
Yeah.
But if there's just some favorites you have, a lot of people pick and choose. The Seismic Gold, to your point, is a super popular one. Some people are, I'm just going to do the Seismic Gold. I'm going to do the run of Seismic Gold, and that's the one I'm going to follow.
Yeah. And so after I got that Seismic Gold, I found, thank you, ComC, that I could get the other Seismic Golds in 1920 and 2021. So now I just need 22, 23 whenever it pops up. So I'll have that run. And then, of course, I have the Emerald, which is the color match for Miro.
Nice. And the Emeralds, I believe, are out of 5?
10. This year is to 10.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then to just round out the collection, just a couple of other things here. You have to have a Future Watch auto. That's a must-have for any player collector. And so I've been hunting these down for all of my stars players. Just got a Rupe Hentz PSA 10 in that, so that was nice.
Nice.
You gotta have to have a Cup RPA.
Yep.
So that's just the basic Cup RPA. I believe that's to 249. And then just some. I got an SP game used. I haven't found a Future Watch Auto patch yet that I feel comfortable paying for. So I got the SPX, and then I love PMGs, and so I had to pick up the green auto. This is also to 10.
I got a bunch of those.
You got a bunch of PMGs?
Yes.
You got the green PMGs?
Yes, Wes. He has PMGs from Parkhurst. From Parkhurst.
Oh, okay.
I got one right here. This one is of my buddy Glenn, who I was talking about earlier.
Basically the same thing. Yeah, totally.
That's awesome.
Right?
Glenn who?
When he played for the Hartford Whalers. That's a PMG, right?
Yeah.
I got them. I got tons of them.
It's precious. I'll agree with that. Very precious.
And just to round it all out, just some other Miro stuff that I have here. So SPA, pageantry.
I think I influenced you on that one. Yeah.
Yeah, you did. As soon as you got the Madonna, I was like, I wonder if there's a Miro, and there in fact was.
They are pretty though in hand. Like it's a really nice looking card.
And then I still like
CSG grade.
What's that?
You're getting stuff graded at CSG. Those look great.
Thank you. I love CSG for personal non-rookie stuff. So all of my second year and on Miros go to CSG. because they just look fantastic. They actually fit in the. I buy these plastic trays.
Mhm.
I'll show them real quick. Sorry.
Sure. Yeah.
They're these binder holders for
Nice.
slabs, so I can put
Mhm.
my slabs and binders and flip through them without having to like open a box.
Oh,
And
great.
the PSA sized ones also fit CSG slabs.
Very nice. Very
So
nice.
perfect. So
Exquisite.
yeah, any non-rookie stuff goes there. Rookie stuff goes to PSA. Only in the event that I get hit by a bus, my wife needs to sell my collection. She has some added value there if there is any once I do get hit by said bus. So
Very
Did I
nice.
see slab strongs hanging on your wall back there?
no slab strongs. These are frames for my scanner. So these fit
Ah,
PSA slabs, and I have SGC and a BGS made by somebody in the Discord that we're in.
nice. Very good. Very good.
Little
Excellent.
3D
Thank you. Thank you, Wes. That's a really nice collection of Miros. I
Thank
do
you.
appreciate one of the so in the Discord that we reference all the time is the Sports Cards Anonymous. Dakota invited several of us and we hang out in there and a lot of trash talking, a lot of
Yes.
BS. Definitely 5% less maturity. Even on the Friday, I might go even like 10% less maturity than the Friday. It gets wild over there.
Yeah, it gets even worse when your teams are playing one another.
Mhm.
The shit
Agreed.
talk. One other thing I would show off is just my Miro binder with made
Yep.
of top loaders, and
Yep.
so they have like 5 or 6 pages of Miros that I just filled in as we go.
Beautiful. I
So
was actually going to ask because I'm a big fan of if you're not going to go the crazy expansive collection because we're not talking thousands and thousands. There's the cards that maybe you get slabbed or maybe you put in one touches or whatever you want to call that in boxes or whatever works for you. In this case, you got the binder pages, which is awesome. I also love having, for me, especially for the post Medano player collections that are not as crazy. I love having Z folios for me are great for stuff that falls outside of okay, I
right,
don't need this graded, I don't need this in one touches, whatever. But I still like to be able to flip through it and
right.
look at it. A lot of people would be horrified though. I might do it when Bobbles is going. I might grab my Z Folio for Ben. A lot of people would be horrified. I put PMGs in the Z Folio for Ben
Oh my god.
just because I can. I'm like, you know
Don't
what? This cost me nothing. I'm putting it in the Z Folio just because I
you at
can.
least like plastic sleeving them as you put them
Of
in
course,
the
yeah,
okay.
of course,
All right. Well,
of course.
okay.
But it makes me laugh just being able to flip through it. It's like, yep, I got
Yeah.
PMGs in here too.
Well, when you get hit by the bus and they send your Madonna and Jamie Benn collection down to me, I will treat them with appropriate
I
care,
appreciate that.
love. So
I-
whoever is managing your estate, just give
His
them my number.
brother will burn it all.
Hey, look, either way works. Either way works. Now, unfortunately, my will specifically says burn Eric's Boston stuff first to practice the flamethrower and get it primed. So they got to warm it up first. So
Yeah.
they're going to head over, take care of that, and then they'll take care of my cards. So it's all good.
As long as they take care of yours, that's for all. I don't care.
I'll be dead. What do I care?
I'll
Eric, that's not a punishment. I'll be dead. What do I care?
Yeah.
Burn it all.
enjoy it. It's worth it.
You'll enjoy it after it finishes burning your stuff.
Part of my collation too, in addition to making them available to me to browse whenever I want to, is I maintain a Flickr account and make sure I put new cards up there for certain players and anything that meets like low numbered or rare or anything like that.
Okay.
So
Nice.
pretty cool. Yep.
Very nice. Very nice.
Thank you
All
for
right,
letting me share.
Of course. All right. So, Eric, I'm going to give you a chance. Let's do Boston Bruins who are still alive. If there's a couple that you'd like to share that would fall into this, I'm making the qualifier because Lord knows with this man, you just never know.
It's just specifically my play collection.
Yeah, we're talking player collections. Your team. You can pick anybody you like that fits. You got boxes beside you. Who do you like? Who do you want?
Well, then my number one player that I've collected over the years and even got more stuff in the mail today is Reggie Lemlin. This is a kind of an oversized card that's autographed by him. I got some more. He played for the Atlanta Flames and the Calgary Flames before he came to Boston. So we got some very large jersey pieces, and
Can I ask why?
Autographed cards.
What about him? What about him made you want to collect him?
1987, he came to the Boston Bruins. He did something that no other goalie had done in an extremely long time, which was break the curse of the Montreal Canadiens. Um, so you have this guy that was, got Vezina Trophy votes up in Calgary. Mike Vernon kind of took the number one spot from him. He came here and he, broke a curse that seemed like it was never going to end. The Canadians had, many Hall of Fame players still on it, and Patrick Waugh in net, and he stood on his head, and he got the majority of the credit. So ever since 87, 88, that year, I've just been a huge fan. Especially at the time I was like maybe like in I think 8th grade, so very impressionable.
Mhm.
Looked up to these guys because they were so much older than me, and I just started collecting, everything with his face on. I used to, because there was no internet,
Yeah.
you couldn't, download pictures or anything like that. You couldn't go, there was no eBay to buy stuff. And, I didn't have a ton of money. I would, cut out articles and pictures of him that were in the newspapers.
Mhm.
And I still have those today, in my collection.
And today,
Things,
now you go on the internet, find pictures of him there, and print those out and cut them out just the same as before.
yeah, that's right. That's
Are they
all.
collage style with like different sized letters demanding
No,
DNA?
Have you ever seen the Unabomber Shack? It's
Oh,
kind
no.
of like that, but with a lot of Reggie Lemonin.
Okay.
but
Yeah.
Devils Bend series back for Game 7. I cut all these things out back when I was younger, and I still have them.
He's got it with the multicolored construction paper. He's going old school there.
With
You
the
know,
pastels, no less.
it's
Mhm.
it's it's what I had back then, and I
Right on.
decided instead of trying to upgrade it or leave it just like when I was a kid. And there's
Right on.
still I still have more of it put away in the cabinets and things. And I said, yeah, I could definitely make it look a lot nicer, but I'm like, no, I want to still be connected to that time in my life. So I said, no, it's gonna stay just the way it is.
Makes
Fair
sense.
enough.
Is there
Cool.
any other cards that you want to share before we get into the shameless Jason Robertson pump that is to come shortly?
Oh God, I don't have the energy for that. Let me,
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, I showed some of these new ones I just picked up.
Yep.
Autograph rookie, but I do have a few more that are pretty neat. So I'll just
All right.
show a couple
I'll give
more.
Eric a chance to grab a few just before, because then once we get into Jason Robertson pump time, then we're all gonna sit back in the chair for a moment, let him have his moment, and I'll finish off with some Ben's to round us out. So go ahead.
There's a piece of his stick on that one.
Yeah, that's from Ingrained Remnants.
Yeah.
Yep.
Pretty
Here
cool.
is on card autos of him and Dan Bouchard.
Nice.
Nice.
This is out of Panini.
It's Dominion. Yep.
Yeah. You'll see that this goalie stick that's on the wall is his, and it's autographed with plus a lot of his statistics that I had him put on it. So that's a gamer that's up there.
Would you consider, under the right circumstances, Eric, taking the stick, say, into the shop and doing like a TikTok or like an Instagram video? Because I heard that worked out well.
5% more mature, 5%.
You could like flail it around, you could try that.
5%.
It's good enough for the Bobby Orr stick. It's good enough for that one, I think.
5% more mature, 5% more mature.
I feel like he should repeat that as a mantra to himself.
5% more mature on Mondays. Anyways, yeah, I mean, I have tons more of
Sure.
things. The kind of the neatest thing is this picture of him when he
Okay.
was drafted by the Flyers. He never played for them, but this is him at like 18 years old.
He's 18 in that picture.
Yeah,
Wes,
He looks
by the way,
47 with a mortgage.
quick side point. Help me
He's
out
got
on this.
pimples all over his face. You can't tell, but he's
No,
got
man. No,
all
sir.
pimply and stuff.
No, sir.
So
That
Eric,
man drives a Buick.
so real quick, and Wes is hitting on a very important point here. And Bobbles, help me out on this. One of my favorite things about 70s, whenever you look at pictures of them, I swear, like every man in the 1970s is 35.
Yes.
Every one of them in high school is 35 years old. They all
Right.
look like they're at least in their mid 30s. All of them.
100%. Yep. Maybe it was all the smoke and ozone layer holes and
Maybe.
hard living and cocaine.
There was something going on there, Wes. So I think that's a legit thing. Like at some point, they all turned 35 as soon as they hit 18. They all just went straight to 35.
Yep.
Skipped a couple of decades, but fair enough. Thank you, Eric. All right, here it is. The time what you've all been waiting for. It's time for the shameless Jason Robertson pump. Let's
Pump
go.
and dump. Pump and dump.
Well, first off,
Come
I
on,
have to
Johnny,
say,
come lately.
I don't have enough. I don't have as much to show as Wes does. That's a very impressive Miro PC there, Wes.
Thank you.
But no, obviously, as they stated, Jason Robertson is the guy I collect. It's kind of a weird story to explain how I began collecting him, but I'm new to hockey and hockey collecting. It's also interesting. Wes said he chose Miro because it was a guy he could afford, and he doesn't always go, with the grain or the most popular guy or whatever. And I'm kind of the same way. My big PCs in baseball are Victor Robles and Michael Taylor. Not the two most expensive guys, but two guys that I've enjoyed watching when they were, well, Victor's still there, but when Taylor was in Washington. And then obviously I've watched Victor since he was in minor league high A ball. So they were affordable and guys that I connected with getting to watch them play. Robertson and how he came about, his 10th game of the season or of his career, he had a 6-game point streak. And this was during the year of Alexis Lafrenaye's young gun and his hype and everything else. And people were going after Lafreniere and the other guys. And here was this kid, Jason Robertson, 10 games into his career with a 6-game point streak. I go on and I start looking at his cards and I'm like, I think at the time he was 22, so he was only like a year older or something like that than Lafreniere, but his cards were just cheap. Like people weren't really paying nothing for him. So I went on and I purchased 2 copies, the only 2 copies that were available of the silver foil E-Pack and 2 copies of the French. And I think I paid, I don't know, maybe $30 for all 4 cards. Now you can go look today, things have changed.
Yep.
Unfortunately though, the pandemic hit, production slowed. Upper Deck is way behind. They just released his rookie year cup product this year, and Robertson started to show his potential. The good news for me is I picked a guy before he was even talked about that turned out to be a budding star in the league. The bad news is the lack of production meant that now his prices are at a premium, and I couldn't build an even better collection because of this, because of lost opportunity. So
what you're saying is the Upper Deck guys conspired against you to wreck. They literally formulated an entire pandemic to prevent you from building the best Jason Robertson PC. That's next level, man.
I mean, I can't blame it on them per se, but
can you truly say they had nothing to do with it, Bobbles?
I can't. They had nothing to do with the pandemic, but the delay in production makes no damn sense. Like they're 2 years behind. At some point, you need to get caught up, and I don't know what they're going to do that, but anyway.
Hey, you wait until you check out some of his amazing 3rd-year cards in about 5 years. They're going to be amazing. They're going to blow your mind.
Yeah. Well, I will also say Upper Deck, they pissed me off because the 21-22 products, I went out and purchased some without checking the checklist because I was so excited new product came out, and somehow this budding star was omitted from the checklist. So I'm opening product excited and realized the guy I want isn't even in it. So that was kind of a kick in the groin there. But anyway, I'll show a few things. Obviously, you got to have the regular young gun.
Right.
Mhm.
This is only a few bits and pieces. You got to have the PMGs.
There you
There's
go.
the
Yep.
regular, or
And the
there's the
retro.
regular, and
Mhm.
then there's the retro,
Yep.
the red PMGs.
So just for the audio people, that's 2 red PMGs. You got 2 different ones, the retro version and the newer design at the time.
You got to have the Future Watch.
Yep.
So I do have a Future Watch in the gas station pump.
Yeah, the custom holder with the gas station pump. Moi,
Yeah.
chef's kiss.
Yep.
Beautiful.
And this card, you know, I know people talk about collecting and everything, but this is a prime example. His prices went up. I didn't want to spend a fortune. This card does have a dinged corner. I wanted the card, so I bought the card itself. I didn't care about getting it graded or whatever. I just put it in a snap slab, and at least I own the card. And I got it at a discount. Then this one, I did not think I was going to be able to get, but was able to get a Cup RPA, and it's actually a very decently graded Cup RPA with a pretty cool 3-color patch in it. So very happy to have gotten that one. And then Wes showed his Emerald Surge from O-Pee-Chee Platinum. This card is a funny story because there was an Emerald Surge Auto out of 10 from O-Pee-Chee Platinum of Robertson up at the same time this next card I'm about to show was also up, and I had to make the choice, which one did I want? And this card, I don't want to use a stupid cliche, but it spoke to me more than the autograph, because just obtaining one of these and the history of these, being, you know, from growing up through the 90s and stuff, and the cool fact that it's somewhat of a nerdy way to do a jersey number. But here is the green retro PMG, and it is 2 of 100, which, if you're not familiar with the green PMGs, only the first 10 are green, then the other 90 are red. And the reason I say it's a nerdy way of being jersey number is they number them 002, and then it's 100. So you have the 21 dead in the middle for the jersey number. This spoke to me more than the Emerald Surge Auto. Both are awesome cards, though.
That's the coolest
I'm
card.
very
you own.
happy to have that one. But yeah, it kind of was a situation also throughout my hobby life, really. I question my gut a lot of times, or I'll be too cheap to spend money on somebody that I actually have a feeling could be good. And then I miss the boat and it goes ahead and floats on away. Finally, I took the chance on somebody that I felt could, you know, could be something. And I was right. So I got on the ship a little bit early. Unfortunately, a lot of the product was delayed. So
Yeah, I think you did well
not too
there.
much pumping there for you guys, but Jason Robertson is my dude.
There you go.
Oh, he's
Seems
your
fair.
dude, all right.
Oh, yes. Yep. That's right.
Yep.
Thank you, Bobbles. Appreciate it.
Well, 5% more mature.
I was gonna say, I'm very happy that you restrained yourself with a 5% maturity. Repeat the mantra to yourself. Embrace it into your soul. Man of peace, Eric. Man of
Well,
peace. We're man of peace
I'm definitely gonna hammer you on Friday.
here. There you go. Perfect. All right. So let me start. We're right around the time we want to shoot for. So I'll quickly go through a couple of Jamie Benn. Long story short, he was a bridge guy to my main guy, Medano. And the last season Medano was in Dallas was actually his rookie season. So that's one great bridge that actually made him a very good, logical choice going from one to the other. He's still playing for Dallas. He's the captain of Dallas, which is great. That's awesome that he's still playing this day. Had a little bit of a renaissance, last season. Returned to 30 goal form. Look, I don't expect the man to win scoring titles ever again, but 30 goals, I'm happy. That's a good, solid season for the guy. Hopefully, I'd love to see something similar to that this season. That'd be fantastic. But one of the things I did when I started
the only
collecting
goal in the year.
That is true. That is true.
Yep.
One of the keys then when I started building the collection, though, is I started off with the idea. I started off with a narrower scope. I started off with the idea of I was going to do the rookie year stuff. So I took the checklist. The checklist, I think, is 101 cards, not counting one of ones. I don't count any of that stuff. You either have it or you don't. It's not necessary to put it on the checklist. It's redundant. So I focused on that first. And I think I've got about 67 or 68 out of the 101. So I've got the majority of the cards you can do for rookie year. So I'll show a couple of rookie year ones. I'll move a little back and forward in time, but we'll zip through some stuff. 0910 Ultra had a couple of parallels to it, including the Ice Medallion. The Ice Medallion is out of 100. So these are actually really tough to come by. Very nice cards. They're fun cards. But then that's from his rookie year. Ice Medallion out of 100. Even in Eric's favorite holder, got the old Beckett. A lot of these ended up in a lot of these holders at the time for whatever reason that happened. Another one that's a bit sneaky, 0910 MVP. So the gold scripts in MVP are always tough. Super scripts as well, of course. But anything from gold script on down is always a little bit tricky, especially from those years. So here's the gold script for Jamie
I've
Benn
never
as well.
seen that before. That's cool.
Well, if you want to say ask me nicely, I've got 2 of them.
Oh,
So
hey, buddy.
we can always talk. We can always talk. I when I saw the extra, I was like, I'm going to buy it because the price was right. So I grabbed a second. But I've got one in a 9.5 and one that's not graded. So I've got 2 of them. Zipping ahead a little bit, and I'll come back to rookie year because there's some nice stuff in his rookie year. But let me touch on some memorabilia stuff. One thing we like in our hockey that doesn't get used a lot is Exquisite. Exquisite is a great sub brand, if you will. So there's a nice patch from Exquisite.
That is
Whenever
nice.
Patch.
Whenever we use the old shoulder patch, that's always good. And here's a little love for, this is for Paul since he loves his medals so much. Here's the medal, the autograph from the same year that Bobbles showed. And then here is the green autograph out of 10 from that. So here is the National Treasures. So it is the patch. It is jersey numbered as well. So they put that in there. That's nice. So these cards were all consecutive. So I thought I would show those.
That was 5 of 5. Is that what that was?
Yep. And let me go backwards a little bit here. This is probably one of the most interesting cards. Not for everybody, because I know Bobbles isn't a fan of part of this card, but a buddy of mine was able to get me a good deal on this one, so I thought it was great. This is from UD Premier 16-17, and this is the gear, which includes patch tag, 2 tags, patch pieces, and a button in the center.
Wow.
Now, the result of all that is a ridiculously thick card in order to accommodate that ridiculous holder of things.
Oh my good God.
In fairness, I know you're mentioning the button, and it
Yeah.
wasn't the fact of the buttons on the card. It was that there was 4 players, and 2 of them had the large part of the button, and 2 of them had the small part of the button. And I just wish they had done all of the same piece of the button.
Sure. No, that's fair. That's fair. So this one, they did a pretty good job making it, even, because like I said, it's 2 patches, 2 tags, and the button in the center.
Yeah.
So they designed that. And this one is out of 3. So this is 3 of 3. So pretty good. Pretty cool. You got to have your limited logos, have a nice patch on there. That's always solid. Just making sure I zip through a little bit of this because there's a lot of variety of stuff, but I don't want to spend too much time.
Where's that Cup Madonna Ben card?
That one is actually sitting in the Medano box. So that one, Medano gets priority on that one. But that was a good call out. So thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah.
I'll quickly go into the old Z folio here I mentioned.
Oh.
So I got some O-Pee-Chee Premier there, some stuff. This one is actually the Superscript replica of the 98.99, but this is actually the Superscript version of it. And I wasn't joking when I said, oh, and by the way, the Select from that year was those are pretty cards. Love that. Plus the green color match, which is always fancy.
Yeah.
This MVP is the black one. This is the out of 5 black one. So that's actually a really nice, fun card. I wouldn't recommend this for a lot of player collections. A lot of it is not too expensive. You got the EX, so I got a couple of those, and then some Prisms.
Nice. Yeah.
So we got that. Some
the Prisms look great.
Yep. Some more of the Platinums. A couple different years of Platinums. And this is what. And then this year Platinum is actually really nice. I've got 8 of those, which is great. And then here, 2 PMGs. You got the red and the blue.
Hey,
Just
I got some of those.
Yes, we know, Eric. All right, so here's some
Damn.
seismic golds. Here's the seismic gold, since we talked about those, a couple different years of them. I think I got a little run of them here, and then another PMG down there with the red. Got that, and then you got a jambalaya over here.
That's
that
nice.
going on. And then one more PMG to round it out here, and another red PMG sitting in the Z folio.
If you get the green, Ben, are you going to put it in the Z folio?
No, the green. Look, I left the green in the box,
Oh.
so I'll put the green in the box. But look, I paid under $20 for some of those PMGs. Like, it's stupid how cheap they were.
They are.
All right, let me show 2 more cards from the rookie year stuff, and then we'll wind her down. This is from O-Pee-Chee Premier. This is Ben's rookie year. Like I said, I really made a lot of hay in his rookie year, but these are very pretty. I like these. So this one is a quad patch, but then they use the paint pen on there. That's a variant of the jersey version. Beautiful cards. And
When they were still making him wear a visor.
And that's the regular version to start off with. Already nice, but then you tack it on and make it patches, and then a little bit, take it up a
Pops.
notch. So that's pretty
Pops
good.
nicely.
And let's go one more here. Got to have the Cup RPA, of course. Got to have that. It's mandated. It's required. And let's see here. We'll do this one to finish up. So this is from Ultimate. Again, rookie year, Ultimate rookie patch auto.
Nice.
Nice patch piece to go.
3 color,
Yep.
4 color. Dirty
4 color.
and dirty.
Nice.
Yep. So that is out of 25. Rookie year, on card autograph, patch auto. There's a lot of stuff sitting in there. Like out of this box, the entire one half is all rookie year stuff. Literally just rookie year, specifically because I made a lot of hay with that early, and I was able to stack a lot of it, which is great. But it's great when the player has a defined amount of cards. And I know where some of the like cup out of 14s are and stuff like that. So then I'm like, what they're asking for is like, yeah, no, we're not going to do that. It's cute that you have it. It's great. I'm not going to go nuts for that. Again, great player. Enjoy watching him play, but I'm not paying premium price. He's not. He won a scoring. He won a scoring championship. Settle down. I was paying nothing for most of these Ben cards, even the patch stuff and everything for years. But I've been able to build a pretty solid collection. I can't complain. It's been a lot of fun, and it's still enjoyable finding them. So I think the key piece of this, though, I wanted to highlight 4 different approaches, 4 different player collections and everything. It's been fun to do. The main reason that I keep doing the Ben one, even though it's not my main focus, I'll still look for stuff from time to time because it's still fun for me. I didn't show it off here because it's a COMC. I do have the green PMG for one of those ones that I showed. So it's a COMC, and in my next COMC mail day, I will add it to it, but it's going to go in the box. So that's the green one will go in the box. It's okay.
Good.
Well, outside of it, and it's funny that we're sitting here, 3 Stars fans on screen,
And Eric.
then Eric. And we're showing all of these PMGs and stuff, and Eric's PMGs,
Eric's PMGs, of course.
And I do have, like, I obviously showed the Robertsons, but I do have other stars, like green, and then to swing back full circle
Thank you,
from
Eric.
the 101 talk in the beginning, here's the gold 101.
Yeah.
Now, he's no longer a star, Klingberg, but
He'll
the
retire a star.
gold 101 PMG. So,
Yeah.
and then
That's pretty sick.
Pabs, obviously green. But it's just funny that it's 3 of us, and we're showing several of the greens, and there's only 10 greens.
Yep.
So,
Absolutely.
Or are there? I don't know. What we've seen lately is that just because a card company says there's only this many, there might be more.
Look at you with the
Possibility.
timely references. Look at you.
Possible.
In the past, they were pretty good about it, but no, Eric's right. It's a valid point. It's a valid point by him. But yes. So thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it. And Eric, appreciate you sharing a lot of those cards. They were. It was a lot of fun to see a lot of different approaches on it. We got Bobbles, Shameless, Jason Robertson Pump. He tried to keep it on the down low. Very subtle by his standards. So we appreciate his restraint. We do appreciate that. Looking forward to seeing what the rest of the season holds. So best of luck to our teams, except for Eric's. Now it happens that 3 of our teams specifically align. So when I say best of luck to our teams, I mean Dallas. None of us really care about the Hindenburg.
we have Vegas tomorrow night, the rematch from knocking us out from going to the Cup. So,
Perfect. Now, if you do have hockey card needs, bringing us all the way back to the conclusion here, we do have to look at our friends at AMG Collectibles. AMGcollectibles.ca. Breaking is on the verge of becoming a thing, and also on the AMG Collectibles YouTube channel. Recording tomorrow, which will drop later on that day, we'll be talking about Series 1. So you're going to get Series 1. So you got Series 1, a little bit of hashtag scholarship tonight. But with Series 1, you're going to get the hobby shop perspective. It's going to be different because I'm going to be asking them about what it's like for them when the new series of flagship comes out, because that's a big deal. They order a lot of boxes of that stuff. So you're going to get their perspective about what they're looking forward to, what they're looking to see as part of it. And I'll even share with them a little hashtag scholarship so they can inform the people. Patrick Stefan, y'all. Patrick Stefan and Oleg Saprikin. Them's the OG young gun one of ones. Tell the people. But yes, you will see it on the AMG Collectibles channel. It will be Sherry and folks from the shop who will be. And then as Eric shamelessly tries to pander to Sherry in the hopes that somehow this will affect the outcome of Reggie Lemonin.
Mm.
It won't, but I appreciate his attempt.
She's a wonderful woman.
Yep, and she sent the cart my way and entrusted me to take care of it.
I don't believe
As
she did that. I believe that was done by an infiltrator of the shop, and possibly someone who was a previous owner.
And yet Sherry's the one who shipped it to me.
I don't believe it.
Believe what you will. Listen, we've had a lot of
Sounds like
conspiracies.
you
tonight.
might.
Believe whatever you
Sounds
want.
like you might need to ask your wife for a second bag of M&Ms.
Yeah. I think that's gonna help you. But yes, check out that channel where we'll talk a little bit more about that from that perspective, that angle, as well as what else is coming up in the shop. Thank you again to AMG Collectibles for supporting the channel and the podcast. Wes, thank you for joining us.
thanks for having me, man. That was fun. I love seeing
Absolutely.
this
We got a
stuff,
little bit of
talking
time. We got
about
a
it.
chance to we got a chance to talk a little bit. Eric, we did talk about the hockeys, so
We did
you've
talk
been-
about the hockeys. That was good.
yeah, we got to talk about the hockeys. Next week, we'll be back to a little bit more of a mix and match. We will still talk some hockey, but we'll also talk a little bit more about what's going on in NFL and what else is coming up in our minds and a general hobby topic, because we generally do as well. If you have questions or comments in the comments section, it is appreciated because it also gives us a little direction. So feel free to share that with us as well. And more videos coming up on the channel, live streams on Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we are 5% less mature.
Oh, most definitely.
Quick question.
Yes.
If you've made it this far watching / listening, quick question to the audience / viewers. Should we all learn pickleball and talk pickleball? Because how in the hell is that sport taking a prime slot on Sundays on ESPN? The actual, not the Ocho, the actual ESPN. So should we try to figure out pickleball? Leafs got a new set coming out. Maybe it's the next big thing. We don't know. Let us know. Should we talk pickleball?
We should not talk pickleball because everybody already plays pickleball. And nobody cares about professional pickleball, but it does exist, and it has for a while.
I just couldn't believe there was look, I don't want to extend the podcast
didn't
more than
either.
we have.
I didn't know.
But like just for the record, until that product was shown to me, the image, I didn't know the professional pickleball existed.
Yeah.
Who is playing? Is it like a failed tennis star? Like who is actually playing professional pickleball?
Dude,
Is
I
it
got
Eric?
ESPN.
Is it Eric and Monica Seles? Like who do we got?
There is one match I've watched, and I won't watch any others, and that was Johnny Mac versus Andre Agassi.
Oh, okay.
In pickleball?
Yeah.
I there's no way I'll ever watch. I don't watch tennis. I don't play tennis, but I've played pickleball, and I like playing pickleball. I have no interest in watching other people play it.
Well,
Unless it's
look,
Johnny Mac and Andre Agassi, then
Well, I mean,
that
yeah.
was a good time.
Okay, fair enough.
sure. Look, all I'm going to say is, and we'll wind her down on this. There's a lot of racket sports that you might enjoy playing. When I was in university, we had a squash court, and it was actually a lot of fun to play squash, especially when you learn how to bounce it off and make your buddy run into the wall. I'm not saying I did that, but I'm saying if you were to acquire such a technique and use it liberally for your amusement, to satiate your bloodlust, not unlike Eric, that's fun. Doesn't mean I would watch it. It doesn't mean I would have any interest whatsoever in observing this. Other people doing it. Great exercise, though. Wonderful exercise, but that's a completely different thing.
It's just boomer ping pong. That's all.
Wow. I see. I like that take. That was solid. And if you want other beautiful takes like that, you can see the Dub Cards on Instagram. Check it out. And you can also see some of the other elements of the collection. He also is I think Zach Martin.
Yes.
Zach
Big,
Martin collector as well. So you get a chance to
super
see a lot of
collector,
that
yeah.
as well.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's correct.
On the Instagram. So again, thank you, Wes, for joining us. Bobbles, thank you for joining us as always. Eric, you're here.
Well, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So until the next time, thank you all for checking it out. Leave comments, like, subscribe, all the good stuff. We'll see you later.